I know you're ready for them. They've been protected for thousands of years. There's nothing to play with. You hear me? Yes.
So is it good to sleep in total darkness when you go to bed? Because sometimes
it would make a difference, because once you go to sleep, you won't see the light is on or not anyway. So it really doesn't make a difference. Those are religious mythologies created while you was in certain schools on that what? Short path, right? On them short. I had to teach you the way they thought in order for you to digest those schools thoroughly. I had to teach you Islam as if I believed it, in order to get you to believe it, because all it was about is belief. And then we had to get to the point where we had no longer a need for beliefs. If also there it said, don't sleep in dark. Why? Because the monotheistic principle, which is the principles of the physical, and what's void of any spiritual knowledge, is always consumption by fire due to judgment. But in this case, the God of light is not using it for intellect, he's using it as nar, fire. The word they use in the Torah, which they borrowed from the Sumerians, was or, flames, light, in the sense of burning. So this God warns you that if you are not obedient to me, out of whatever other gods that you chose, I will burn you up. You hear me? And you're taught that in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. If you're not obedient to me, on Judgment Day, I will judge you and I will burn you up. So the principles of monotheistic beliefs is fear of being burnt up, being consumed by fire. Meanwhile, they teach you, dwell in the light, stay away from the darkness of ignorance, dwell in the light, and then tell you at the end of the road that we're going to burn you up if you don't do everything the way I say do. It's right, because you dwell in the light. And it's the sun and the environment that ages and kills you. So you're already in that path if you are a physical being. If you are a spiritual being, then you spend the short time that you walk under the sun's rays to raise yourself spiritually past the care of the physical body. And it'll care for itself. It'll sustain you if you stop what you call patronizing it and flattering it and gorging it and stuffing it and painting it and all the different things you do to it, where it becomes incapable of performing for itself. You maim your own body. You follow? And your body is just a vehicle to carry the spiritual you through this earthly journey. And you're supposed to be raising yourself in degrees spiritually, so that by the time you take the garment of flesh off, the rest of the path is easy. You just blend back into the rays. You see what I'm saying? So it's not best to sleep in dark or light or dark. You follow? Because regardless, when you go into that state, past sleep paralysis, into what they call sleep, you don't see it anyway. And if anything is going to attack you, it's because you allowed it to and believe it can. All right? Yes?
Does lucid dreaming or waking sleep have to do with a certain state of consciousness?
Say it again.
Does lucid dreaming, or it's called waking sleep, have to do with a certain state of consciousness?
Yeah, it has to do more so with the vibrations of the body. The body is vibrating at a certain pace. That's why you have people say, when I'm getting ready to go into a transcendental state, I must drop my body down to alpha wave. Now, why would they go to the first letter of the Greek alphabet, which would be Aleph or Aleph or A? Why would they say? So where is man vibrating? Well, man is vibrating an eighth up. He's vibrating at an octave above. And he has to make that journey down to alpha wave, where his body therefore is in tune with the Om. You follow that? Now, in between those, everybody knows what octave is, 8 tones, right? In that, let's say, regression of sound going down, there are other beings who are able to vibrate in and out. And those beings step within your dreams, because while you're dreaming, you start dropping down. Have you ever listened to a cat when a cat is sleeping, how it purrs? You ever heard a cat? Anybody have owned a cat before? And a cat purrs when they sleep? You know, a certain purring sound? That's because they're dropping down. Human beings usually drop no farther than out of the 8 to 4, so they stay in what's called sleep paralysis. They're in a paralyzed state, and oftentimes, if they wake up at that point, before their body has regressed to 1 to start the journey back up for waking up, they'll wake up and their body will still be asleep. And their eyes will open and they will be paralyzed. Thus the term sleep paralysis. And in that state, the body panics and it goes to the brain and shoots directly to the hippocampus area of the brain and starts to find solutions to things on this side and that side at the same time, and thus hallucination begins. People start to hallucinate. They start to have visions of things that they create or have experienced themselves. Remember, man is a creator and thus a designer. So he can design monsters to terrorize him or angels to guide him. He can fly as high as he wants, swim as long, as deep as he wants in that world. In that world at the 4th level coming down from the 8 octaves. You follow that? So it does definitely have to do with a mental state, which has to do with the vibrational level of the human being. And human beings have to learn to travel that octave back and forth at random. And that's what wants to teach people how man starts at the 8th, drops to the 7th and 6th and 5 and it's all the way down when at any given time you can go into alpha, as they call it. You follow it? And your body just purr. Your heart starts to slow up. You breathe less and then you start to make that transit state. If you get all the way down to 1, you're with me? Then you can get a new boost. Just like when you're extremely tired because you stayed up for 2 days, you find at the 48th hour, you get, or even the 24th hour, you get a boost. And you get this, what they call a second breath. You follow? You're working on etheric now. You're no longer working on blood. That extra boost you get when you're extremely tired and driving, all of a sudden you say, I gotta wake up. Boom, you get this surge and you're able to drive another 100 miles. That's moving into the etheric. When you learn to take this journey backwards, back into yourself, you follow the journey inward, when you get down to 1 and you learn to vibrate there, then it's easy for me to take you over into the etheric world. Because on the other side of this 1 hydrogen existence starts 1 ether. And all the way up to 8. When you get to, in the element sense, watch what happens. Because the element sense is from hydrogen to 8. And 8 is? Oxygen. You see that? A gaseous form. So when you come down from 8 to 1 and go up to ether, when you get to 8 ether, you make a transformation into etherian form, another gaseous form, another form of gas. And you'll be able to travel that ladder backwards and forward. Then if anything begins to happen to you on the physical plane, between 8 and 1, all you do is drop your vibrational level and transport your essence into the etheric world and wait to see what happens in the physical. If the physical body becomes damaged to the point where you no longer use it, but you have a job to do, you're able to pick anyone from your family who can vibrate on the same, with the same type of blood, because the liquid is the oxygen, water, H2O, same kind of blood as yours. You could jump into their body to get a certain assignment done. Oftentimes, relatives will come back to a person in their family who they think are vibrating the same, and the person becomes afraid from seeing this gaseous etheric image in their room, and the adrenaline produces a serum that cuts off or builds a gate where this walk-in cannot get into your body. So your grandmother who came back to get a message to someone who needed them comes at the head of your bed, but then she turns and leaves. And she just says, I'm well, everything is fine, because you closed the gate through fear. You follow? We have to learn that monotheism created fear to cut you off from the spiritual world. Their whole philosophy, their whole doctrine of religion is based on stay afraid, fear Allah, fear the Lord, fear retribution, fear hell, fear judgment, fear. You notice that? So you don't stay in a celeste state, a bliss state. You stay in an ever regretful state, because it's near impossible as a predominantly physical being most of the time not to do disagreeable things. Right? And once you do a disagreeable thing, and the law is if you do one sin, you're going to hell, you inherit a new, more dreadful attribute, guilt. And enough guilt will make you say, what difference does it make? I'm already going to hell. I'm already a bad person. I'm already a disagreeable person. So I might as well not try to make the journey back. And that could not be far from the truth. Once you learn not to fear, once you take on the role of God and take on responsibilities for your body and your soul and your spirit, those three great principles, that's the three great sins. When you conquer them, you conquer it all. And you can make that journey back and forth. That's what it was about. You studied books and you may have got bored, so well, I've been reading, I don't see what I'm getting any spiritual, because it's about waiting until the people who join, because they want a transcendental meditation journey, get fed up and leave. And those people who want to stay will be here, and then we can get down to business. You follow what I'm saying?